They say you can measure a company's soul by the smell of its server room. Ours reek of desperation, fried plastic, and Axe body spray. Thanks to the recent influx of fresh hires straight from coding boot camps and LinkedIn learning paths, I knew we were headed for trouble the moment Amber wheeled in a ring light for her first all-hands meeting. My name is Clark Bennett, I'm 48, and for the past 15 years I've been the guy who actually keeps the lights on at Meridian Technologies while everyone else takes the credit. This woman had married our CEO after one corporate retreat in Cabo and somehow got promoted to Chief Digital Officer before she even figured out what DNS stands for. She wore white heels into the server room, called our mainframe setup vintage, and once asked me straight-faced if we still needed Java for anything important. I stayed quiet because that's what you do when you're the guy who's been holding everything together with midnight code fixes and weekend emergency patches. When that corrupted vendor database nearly wiped our client history last March, I was the one who restored it before anyone in management even knew there was a problem. I held the keys to systems nobody else knew existed, which probably explains why I was invisible enough to fire. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up and tell you how this whole thing started. The morning everything kicked off, Amber strutted into our 8:30 strategic planning meeting, clutching some green juice that looked like it had committed crimes against nature. The conference room went dead quiet. You know, that kind of silence that happens right before someone says something really stupid. She stood there under those buzzing office lights like she was about to change the world. "Team, we are entering a bold new phase," she announced, scanning the room like a substitute teacher trying to spot troublemakers. "Legacy infrastructure is holding us back. We need fresh blood, modern solutions, and honestly, less resistance to innovation." You could hear the collective intake of breath from everyone over 35 in that room. I felt it in my gut. That sick feeling you get when you realize your years of experience just got labeled as dead weight. She clicked through her presentation that looked like something straight off Pinterest. "We'll be sunsetting outdated systems and replacing them with scalable cloud-native frameworks," she said, tapping a diagram that was literally a screenshot from someone's GitHub repository. "I want everyone to feel empowered to challenge old assumptions." What she really meant was, "You're all replaceable." I sat there thinking about the server crash I'd fixed by hand just last week because her migration team forgot to check the backup routing. I thought about the undocumented database connections I had written back in 2009 that were still keeping our logistics dashboard running. And I thought about that contract she'd signed without reading. The one that said the automation scripts I wrote on my own time belonged to me, not the company. I said nothing, just nodded along like everyone else. The meeting ended with her fake laugh and a dismissive wave. "Let's disrupt some paradigms, people. The future won't wait for us." Except the future was waiting, and it had claws. See, what Amber didn't understand, what none of these fresh-faced disruptors understand, is that infrastructure isn't something you can just copy-paste from Google. It's 15 years of knowing every weird quirk, every workaround, every little fix that keeps the place running. It's knowing that the server room gets too hot every August, that the billing system needs a restart every few weeks, and that our biggest client systems will crash unless you clear the cache at exactly 6:47 every morning. I'd survived Y2K when everyone thought the world would end. I'd kept us online during the 2008 financial meltdown when half our competitors went under. I'd pivoted our entire remote infrastructure in 72 hours when COVID hit and suddenly 400 employees needed to work from home. Each crisis taught me something new, added another layer to my understanding of how everything connected. But to Amber and her crowd, all that knowledge just looked like me being stubborn about change. They wanted everything clean and simple, documented in wikis and managed through dashboards. They didn't want to hear that some problems required human judgment, that some systems needed a gentle touch, that experience actually mattered. My wife Linda knew something was wrong when I came home that night. We'd been married 23 years, and she could read my moods better than server logs. "How was the meeting?" she asked, not looking up from helping our daughter Amy with her college applications. "Same as always. Revolution is coming." She looked up then. "What kind of revolution?" "The kind where they throw out everything that works and replace it with something that sounds better in PowerPoint." Our son Jake wandered through the kitchen, grabbed an apple, and paused. At 19, he had that confidence of someone who'd grown up with technology and assumed it all just worked by magic. "Dad, maybe they have a point. I mean, isn't most of that old tech pretty inefficient anyway?" I looked at my kid, this boy I'd raised, whose college I was paying for with money I made keeping those inefficient old systems running, and realized this wasn't just happening at work. Maybe, I said. We'll see. But I already knew how this story would end. I'd seen it before, at other companies with other ambitious executives who confused movement with progress. The difference was, this time I wasn't going to stick around to clean up the mess. That night, I did something I'd never done in 15 years at Meridian. I logged into our system and started documenting exactly which of my scripts were actually mine, which modifications I'd made off the clock, and which critical processes depended on tools I'd developed independently. It took me 3 hours to catalog everything, and by the end, I was looking at a pretty comprehensive list of single points of failure. The next morning, I updated my LinkedIn profile for the first time in 5 years. Not because I was looking for a job, but because I wanted to remember what my actual qualifications looked like on paper. 15 years of experience, 6 major system overhauls, 0 critical outages under my watch. Not bad for a guy who apparently couldn't adapt to the future. 2 days later, I got the calendar invite that would change everything. Thanks to the recent influx of dynamic hires fresh off LinkedIn boot camps and TikTok resumes, I knew we were screwed the moment Amber wheeled in that ring light for her first all-hands meeting. This woman married our CEO's son after one corporate wellness retreat and was promoted to chief digital officer before she even learned what a server rack was. She wore white stilettos to the data center, called our mainframe chunky, and once looked me dead in the face and asked if Java was still a thing. Still, I stayed quiet because for 15 years I was the fail-safe, not by title but by survival. I duct-taped back-end systems together with midnight code pushes and unpaid overtime hours. The calendar invite showed up 2 days after that disastrous meeting. Subject line, quick sync, HR. No agenda, no context, just a cold little placeholder sitting at 4:30 p.m. on a Friday. The corporate equivalent of a guillotine being wheeled into the courtyard. I'd seen it happen before. The vague invites, stiff body language, those glassy smiles from HR as they escorted seasoned employees out like criminals. They never scheduled these things in the morning. No, they waited until end of day. Like firing someone was just another to-do item after updating Slack statuses and pretending to care during diversity week. But first, let me tell you about the 3 weeks leading up to that meeting. That's when things really started falling apart. It started with Tyler and Madison. Tyler was 26, fresh from some coding boot camp, and had this nervous habit of cracking his knuckles whenever someone asked him a technical question. Madison was also 26, talked really fast when she got excited, and somehow always managed to work at my last startup into every conversation, even though her last startup had been 3 guys in a WeWork space. Tyler had this habit of explaining basic concepts to me like I was his grandfather trying to figure out email. Madison would nod along whenever Amber spoke and throw around phrases like legacy, mindset, and technical debt without really understanding what either meant. She had this way of taking notes on everything, like she was documenting evidence for a future promotion review. The thing that really got to me was when they started questioning every process I'd put in place. The backup rotations I'd perfected over a decade became unnecessarily complex. The security protocols that had prevented 3 separate breach attempts became barriers to agility. The documentation I'd spent years building became information hoarding. Meanwhile, Amber was burning money on consultants like it was going out of style. She brought in this team from some hot new firm that specialized in digital transformation, basically a bunch of guys in their 30s with expensive laptops and a PowerPoint template they used for every client. One morning I walked into work and found them huddled around my desk, pointing at my monitors like detectives examining a crime scene. The lead consultant, some guy named Brad or Brett, I never caught it, was taking pictures of my screen setup. "This is really interesting," Brad or Brett said to Tyler. The previous guy built everything around these manual processes. Previous guy. I was standing right there. "Yeah," Tyler jumped in, practically bouncing on his heels. "Clark's got all these manual scripts running. We think we could automate this whole setup." Tyler always got excited when he thought he'd spotted an inefficiency. It was like watching a golden retriever find a tennis ball. I cleared my throat. "Those scripts are already automated," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "They run on schedules I set up based on real usage patterns and system behavior." Brad or Brett looked at me like I'd just suggested we go back to using typewriters. "Right, but wouldn't it make more sense to have everything managed through proper automation tools?" "Sure," I said, "as long as you don't mind paying 10 times more to get half the reliability." That earned me a look from Madison, one of those looks that said I was being difficult just to be difficult. She was always doing that, tilting her head and giving me this patient smile like I was a confused old man who couldn't understand progress. The breaking point came during what Amber called a legacy system audit. She'd scheduled a meeting to review every piece of infrastructure older than 2 years. Her goal, she announced, was to identify what could be deprecated to make room for more modern solutions. I brought printouts of our uptime statistics, performance metrics, and cost analyses. Real data showing that our legacy systems were actually performing better and costing less than most of the cloud alternatives she was pushing. Amber barely glanced at the papers. "Clark, I appreciate the historical perspective, but we need to think strategically here. These old systems create vendor lock-in and make it hard for our team to scale." "What vendor lock-in?" I asked. "I built most of these systems in-house specifically to avoid vendor dependence." "That's exactly the problem," she said. "Everything depends on institutional knowledge instead of standardized processes. What happens if you get hit by a bus?" It was a fair question, actually. One I'd been thinking about for years. That's why I'd spent countless evenings documenting every system, creating runbooks, and training anyone who showed interest in learning. But apparently, wanting to understand how things work before you change them was now considered resistance to innovation. The meeting ended with Amber assigning Tyler and Madison to shadow me for a week, to capture my institutional knowledge before they transitioned everything to newer systems. They followed me around with those little moleskin notebooks, asking questions that showed they had no idea what they were looking at. "Why do you manually restart the invoice processing service every Tuesday?" Tyler asked. "Because there's a memory leak in the vendor's code that they've been promising to fix for 3 years. The restart prevents it from crashing during peak billing periods. But couldn't we just add more memory?" "Sure, if you want to waste resources masking a problem instead of managing it." Madison jumped in. "What if we containerize the whole thing? Then the restart could be handled automatically." I stopped what I was doing and looked at her. "The service is already containerized. The restart is automated. It happens every Tuesday at 2 a.m. when system load is lowest. I've been doing this for years." She wrote something in her notebook, but I could tell she wasn't really listening. She was just waiting for her turn to suggest another buzzword solution. That's when I realized they weren't trying to learn from me. They were trying to replace me. And worse, they thought what I did was so simple that anyone could do it with the right tools and documentation. The irony was that I'd actually been preparing for this conversation for months. Not because I wanted to leave, but because I believed in succession planning. I had detailed runbooks, automated monitoring, and backup procedures for everything. I'd even started training 2 junior developers who'd shown genuine interest in infrastructure work. But those developers had been reassigned to higher impact projects, meaning they were now working on Amber's pet initiatives instead of learning how to keep the lights on. So when Tyler asked me to walk him through the database backup procedures, I did exactly what they'd asked for. I showed him where to find the documentation, explained the monitoring dashboards, and demonstrated the restore process using our test environment. What I didn't tell him was that the documentation assumed you understood basic database administration, that the monitoring dashboards required interpreting 3 different log formats, and that the restore process had 12 different failure modes that weren't covered in any manual because they'd never happened before. The night before my HR meeting, Linda found me in the garage cleaning tools I hadn't touched in months. "You know they're going to fire you tomorrow?" she said. It wasn't a question. After 23 years of marriage, she could read the situation as clearly as I could. "Yeah," I said, "I know. Are you ready for this?" I thought about it for a minute. Our mortgage had 8 years left. Both kids were in college, with Amy planning to apply for graduate school next year. My 401k was heavily weighted in Meridian stock, which meant my retirement was tied to the company I was about to leave. "I don't think anyone's ever ready to get fired," I said, "but I'm ready to stop pretending this is going to work." She nodded. "What's your plan?" "I don't have one yet, but I've got ideas." That was only half true. I did have a plan, but it wasn't one I could explain to my wife without sounding vindictive. Because the truth was, I'd spent the last 3 weeks quietly preparing for exactly this scenario. Every script I'd written on my own time, every process I'd developed using my own expertise, every solution I'd built to problems they didn't even know existed, I'd been cataloging all of it. And according to the intellectual property agreements I'd signed when I started, anything I developed independently belonged to me, not to Meridian. Amber had signed off on those agreements herself, too busy planning her next Instagram post to read the fine print about contractor-developed tools and proprietary methods. I walked into that HR meeting and there she was, Amber, sitting on the edge of Greg's desk like she was posing for one of those boss babe Instagram posts. The smell of her expensive perfume was already making my head hurt under those buzzing fluorescent lights. "Clark, thanks for coming in," she said, crossing her legs like she'd been practicing the move in a mirror. "This shouldn't take too long." Poor Greg from HR was sitting there looking like he'd rather be anywhere else in the world. He had this manila folder in front of him that he kept straightening and re-straightening, like maybe if he got the corners perfectly aligned, this whole conversation would just disappear. As part of our organizational restructuring, Amber started, using that tone people use when they're delivering bad news but trying to make it sound like good news. We're realigning certain positions to better support where the company's heading. I just sat there. What else could I do? I'd known this was coming the moment I got that calendar invite. "We really do appreciate everything you've done here, Clark," she continued. Greg finally slid that folder across to me. "But we're moving toward a more modern approach to technology leadership." There it was, modern. Like I was some old piece of equipment they needed to replace. Greg pushed the severance paperwork forward. "This includes a competitive package, plus outplacement support, and 3 months of COBRA coverage if you enroll by Friday." I glanced at the papers, scanned the legal language. Good thing I'd spent all those years reviewing our vendor contracts. I knew what to look for in the fine print. Amber leaned forward, smiling like a teenager who just figured out how to use the office printer. "Any questions?" I looked at the paperwork in that folder. Standard severance stuff, nothing terrible, nothing great. Just the cost of getting rid of someone who'd become inconvenient. "Any questions?" Amber asked, leaning back like she'd just finished explaining a simple procedure. That's when something clicked in my head. Maybe it was sitting in that sterile room with its motivational posters and fake plants. Maybe it was watching Greg fidget with his pen like he was trying to disappear into his chair. Or maybe it was just 15 years of keeping my mouth shut finally catching up with me. Actually, yeah. "I do have something to say." Amber straightened up. This wasn't in her script. "You've got about 15 minutes, I said, standing up and pulling my badge off my neck. 15 minutes until what?" she asked. I set the badge down on Greg's desk, right next to that folder. "Until you find out what I actually do around here." Then I turned around and walked out. No raised voice, no dramatic exit speech, just quiet footsteps down a sterile hallway while 1,000 automated processes started their countdown to failure. I didn't go home. Instead, I walked 2 blocks down to Murphy's Diner, ordered black coffee and a slice of their apple pie, and sat in the corner booth where I could still see the 15th floor of our building through the window. The lights were on, like nothing had changed, like there wasn't a loaded gun sitting under their infrastructure, and I just quietly removed the safety. The first sip of coffee was too hot and burned my tongue. Good. I needed to feel something besides this low hum of what the hell did I just do that was vibrating under my ribs. My phone sat face down on the table. No vibrations, no calls, no last-minute wait. Let's talk this through messages. Just silence and the faint taste of regret in the back of my throat. Maybe I should have left some kind of trail. An anonymous email to Tyler. A heads up to someone in the infrastructure team. Maybe I should have documented every ignored warning and every deleted compliance report and sent it all to the board with a note about what was coming. Instead, I sat there staring at that glass and concrete monument to corporate ego and felt the doubt creep in sideways. Maybe I'd just lit a fire and walked away without checking who was still inside the building. My hand drifted toward my tablet. Old habits kicked in. Type up a quick run book, log a remote access session, send a just-in-case message to someone who might be able to minimize the damage. I opened my email, started typing. If you're reading this, the system has likely... I stared at the draft for 30 seconds, then deleted it and closed the email app. Number. They made their choice. Amber chose flashy presentations over functional systems, chose buzzwords over backups. The CEO handed her the keys like she was Steve Jobs, reincarnated with an MBA instead of actual technical knowledge. They never asked how things actually stayed running. They didn't want to know it was me running silent maintenance jobs at 3 a.m. to catch billing errors before clients noticed them. They didn't want to hear about the ransomware attack that nearly breached our financial systems last September, or how I'd spotted the signature in the log files and isolated the threat before anyone in legal even heard the word malware. They didn't care that 3 different CTOs had quietly relied on me to fix problems they couldn't admit they didn't understand. And Amber sure as hell hadn't read the NDAs she'd signed, including the one that explicitly granted me ownership of the automation scripts that had been keeping the company's lights on for the past 5 years. They wanted me invisible. Well, now they'd got their wish. I watched a maintenance worker push his cart through the lobby across the street. Same guy who'd been there since I started, who always nodded when we passed in the hallways and sometimes left cookies by my workstation during the holidays. I almost waved, but he couldn't see me through the diner window anyway. The failure started exactly 15 minutes after I'd walked out, just like I'd promised. It began with email. First one bounce, then 5, then 47. The dashboards that Tyler and Madison had been so excited to inherit started throwing error messages like confetti at a going-away party. The logistics portal went dark first, then procurement. API calls started returning 500 errors with helpful messages like, "Service temporarily unavailable," and "Please contact your system administrator," which of course they'd just fired. From my booth at Murphy's, I refreshed our company's status page. The usual row of green check marks was bleeding into yellows and reds like a traffic light having a nervous breakdown. Someone had posted a note at the top. "We are currently experiencing temporary service disruptions. Please bear with us as we work to resolve these issues. Thank you for your patience." Patience, that was rich. My phone finally started buzzing. First it was Sandra from accounting, then Tyler, then Madison. Text messages piling up like crash reports. "Clark, hey, weird question. Did you maybe move the backup configuration files somewhere? Clark, are you seeing this? Everything's down. Amber's freaking out. Please call me back. We can't figure out why the vendor API stopped working." I just stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the keyboard. The temptation to help was almost electric. 15 years of muscle memory telling me to jump in and start troubleshooting. But I didn't touch anything. Not yet. Instead, I ordered another cup of coffee and opened my LinkedIn app. My inbox had 3 new messages from recruiters and one from a name I hadn't seen in years. "Clark, heard you might be available. We should talk." The message was from Barry Walsh, my former colleague who'd left Meridian 3 years ago to start his own consulting firm. Last I'd heard, he was doing pretty well for himself. I typed back, "I might be. Coffee sometime this week?" His reply came back in less than 5 minutes. "How about tomorrow? I think we have a lot to discuss." Meanwhile, the crisis at Meridian was escalating from technical inconvenience to full corporate panic. I could see people moving around on the 15th floor. Probably Tyler and Madison frantically Googling error messages while Amber tried to look like she understood what was happening. The beautiful thing was that I hadn't sabotaged anything. I hadn't deleted files or changed passwords or corrupted databases. I'd simply stopped doing the hundreds of small fixes that kept everything running smoothly. The automated scripts I'd written and legally owned were no longer compensating for flawed vendor integrations and legacy system quirks. It was like removing the supports from under a house of cards. Everything looked fine until you realized the foundation had been gone the whole time. The next morning I met Barry Walsh at a coffee shop downtown. Not some fancy place, just a regular spot with decent coffee and tables that weren't sticky. I'd known Barry for years before he left Meridian. He was one of the few people there who actually understood what I did, probably because he'd been doing similar work at other companies for the past 20 years. "Clark," he said, standing up when I walked in. He looked relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in the corporate world for a long time. "Heard you had some excitement yesterday." News travels fast. Faster when half the tech community gets emails about system outages from a company that never has system outages. He gestured to a chair. "Coffee?" We spent the first 10 minutes just catching up. His kids, my kids, the usual stuff. Then he got to business. "So I'm guessing you didn't just decide to quit on a whim," he said. I told him the whole story. Amber, the digital transformation, Tyler and Madison, the firing meeting. Barry just nodded and drank his coffee while I talked. "Sounds familiar," he said when I finished. "I've seen this movie before. New executive comes in, wants to make their mark, decides the problem is all the old stuff. Yeah, well, now they get to see what happens when the old stuff stops working." Barry leaned back in his chair. "So what's your plan?" "Honestly, I don't have one yet. I figured I'd update my resume, start looking around, see what's out there." "What if I told you there might be something out there already?" I raised an eyebrow. "Look," Barry said, "I've been running Apex Solutions for 3 years now. We do infrastructure consulting for companies that are tired of getting burned by the flashy consulting firms. Real work, not PowerPoint presentations. Sounds good. You hiring?" "Maybe, but not the way you're thinking." He pulled out his phone and showed me their website. "We're more like a partnership. Senior people who know what they're doing, working with clients who actually want solutions instead of buzzwords." "What's the catch?" "No catch, just a lot of work. These clients have real problems that need real solutions. No hand-holding, no politics, just fix what's broken and make sure it stays fixed." That sounded almost too good to be true. "What kind of money are we talking about?" "Depends on the client and the project. But I'll tell you this, My worst month last year was still better than my best month at Meridian. My phone buzzed. Another text from Tyler, probably the 20th one since yesterday. I ignored it. There is one thing, Barry said. When Meridian calls asking for help, and they will, we'd like you to handle that personally. At consulting rates, I assume? $400 an hour, minimum engagement, payment up front. They'll never pay that. Then they'll figure it out themselves. Either way, you win. We shook hands on it. Nothing official yet, just an understanding that we'd work something out. By the time I got home, the Meridian situation had escalated beyond just technical problems. Linda was waiting for me with her laptop open to a local business news site. The headline read, "Local software company experiences major service disruption." "Looks like your 15 minutes are up," she said. I sat down next to her and read the article. It was mostly corporate speak about temporary service issues and working diligently to restore functionality. But buried in there was a quote from one of their biggest clients saying they were evaluating alternative service providers. "How do you feel about all this?" Linda asked. I thought about it. "Honestly, I feel like I should have done it 5 years ago." "Any regrets?" "Just one. I wish I'd documented more of their screw-ups while I was there." My phone rang. Wallace Preston, the CEO. I showed Linda the screen. "You going to answer?" "Yeah, might as well." "Mr. Bennett?" Preston sounded tired. "I think we need to have a conversation." "About what? About fixing this mess?" "I'll be straight with you. We're in bad shape. The board is asking questions, clients are threatening to leave, and frankly, I'm not sure we can recover without help." "What kind of help?" "Your help. Full reinstatement, salary increase, your own budget, whatever you need." I looked at Linda, who was pretending not to listen while obviously hanging on every word. "I appreciate the call, Mr. Preston, but I'm not looking for employee positions right now." "Clark, please, I know Amber made mistakes. She's young, she got carried away with new ideas, but we can fix this." "The problem started before Amber," I said. "She was just the latest in a long line of people who thought they knew better than the people actually doing the work." Long pause. "What would it take?" he asked finally. "For me to come back?" "Complete control over infrastructure decisions. Written apology to everyone who got pushed aside during your digital transformation. And honestly, sir, you'd need to make some changes at the top. I can't ask my daughter-in-law to resign. Then you can't afford my help." I hung up. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in Barry's real office. Not the coffee shop anymore, but the actual Apex Solutions headquarters, when the news broke. Amber Preston was taking a sabbatical to explore new opportunities in the wellness and personal development space. The press release was full of corporate buzzwords about growth and new challenges, but everyone in the industry knew what it really meant. "Think she'll land on her feet?" Barry asked, looking up from his laptop. "People like her always do. She'll probably start a consulting firm teaching other executives how to disrupt legacy thinking." "And Preston? Still there, still making the same mistakes. Just more quietly now." Meridian's stock had dropped almost 30% in 2 weeks. 3 major clients had terminated their contracts, and according to the industry newsletters, they were facing some kind of regulatory investigation about those deleted compliance files. Barry tossed me a folder. "Speaking of disruption, we just got a new client. Mid-size manufacturer, their IT director just quit, and they need someone to assess their infrastructure before their busy season." I opened the folder and looked at the project specs. Real work. Technical challenges. Problems that needed actual solutions instead of buzzword presentations. "When do they want to start?" "Next week. 2-month engagement, maybe longer if things go well." My phone buzzed with a text from Linda. Amy called. She got the internship at that engineering firm. "Celebration dinner tonight?" I texted back, "Absolutely. Pick the place." For the first time in months, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. Not because I'd gotten revenge on the people who screwed me over, but because I was finally working with people who understood the difference between innovation and destruction. The satisfaction wasn't in watching Meridian fall apart. It was in building something better. Something that wouldn't collapse the first time someone decided that experience was just another word for stubbornness. Every morning I walked into an office where my judgment was trusted, my expertise was valued, and nobody ever asked me to get excited about synergistic paradigm shifts. The work was challenging, the clients were grateful, and when I fixed something, it stayed fixed. That's the thing about infrastructure. When you do it right, it becomes invisible. People only notice it when it stops working. But when you're building something new, something solid, everyone notices. They see the difference between work that lasts and work that just looks good in a presentation. These days I sleep better knowing that somewhere across town, Tyler and Madison are probably still trying to figure out why those servers crash every Tuesday. And maybe, if they're smart, they're they're starting to understand that some problems can't be solved with better automation or newer tools. Sometimes they can only be solved by someone who's been there before, who knows what works and what doesn't, and who has the patience to do things right instead of just doing them fast. I never did get that consulting call from Meridian. By the time they were ready to pay market rates for real help, we had more work than we could handle. But every now and then, I still drive by that building on my way to client meetings, and I think about all those late nights I spent keeping their lights on. I don't feel angry about it anymore. I feel grateful, because sometimes you need to lose something to realize what you're actually worth. And sometimes the best revenge really is just walking away and letting them figure out how much they needed you after all.